Peter was considered a friend and follower of Jesus, and yet he was far from perfect. He was called by Jesus when he was fishing, and this common job was transformed into a calling to a follower of Jesus. Matthew 4:19, and he said to them, "Follow me, and I will make you fishers of men." Peter immediately responded and did follow Jesus. It would seem his devotion and friendship with Jesus would be a consistent and unwavering devotion, and yet the years to come would speak to a different story. In Matthew 14, the disciples were told to go into a boat and go to the other side. They did, and when Jesus joined them by walking on the water, and they were afraid of him, Peter called out to him and said, if Jesus was Jesus, to command him to come to him on the water. Jesus said, "Come." Peter responded to the command and was fine until he allowed the fear of the water and waves to fill him with doubt, and he took his eyes off Jesus. He began to sink, and Jesus kindly reached and saved him. Jesus asked why he and the others had such little faith. This happened after they had seen many miracles and heard amazing words of truth in Jesus' teaching, and yet this did not prepare or convince total trust in Jesus. Peter's friendship and devotion to follow was challenged when he gave in to his fear and emotions once again when Jesus was arrested. In John 18, the soldiers and officers from the chief priests came to arrest Jesus, and Peter retaliated with violent action. Jesus reprimanded him and healed the wounded high priest's servant. Jesus reminded them that he was following the path that the Father had before him. Peter continued to follow Jesus as they led him to the officials. His devotion was challenged when he was questioned about knowing and following Jesus. It was then that he denied Jesus, which led to a spirit of deep despair as he turned from his friend. Jesus did embrace and encourage Peter after the resurrection. Jesus saw the potential of Peter when Peter doubted. Jesus chose an imperfect person to share the good news of the gospel to the lost world. I find such encouragement and hope in the fact that God sees our imperfections and doubts. God has plans for all people to follow him and accept him as Savior and forever friend. This invitation to my imperfection fills me with gratefulness that God invites and asks to keep eyes on him and not to the failing world around us. I know I cannot be perfect, and I have had failings in my life, and I am thankful that God calls to me. He calls to all of us to come and follow him. I am thankful I can authentically share my doubts and desires and pray that I will keep my eyes on him to continue to follow our gracious Savior.